Hey everyone, how you doing? So today I'm doing a surf competition. I haven't done a surf competition in about 2 years. Kinda took a break from them because I felt like it was taking the fun out of surfing. I was always getting stressed out whenever I would do a competition. But today I'm going to do one, competing in open, which is all ages, and then junior, which is 18 and under. And what I'm actually gonna do is take the GoPro out with the mouth mount. And a video that I did recently was what surfing is actually like. And for basically a 20-30 minute surf session, I just recorded the whole time. I'm gonna do that same thing for the surf competition. So start recording before I put the rash guard jersey on, and then stop recording once I take the rash guard off. So you get to see what a surf competition is actually like. Alright, switching over to the GoPro. Well, here we are once again in the GoPro first person view. First things first, putting on the rash guard jersey. And the way I'm going to do this voiceover is just laid back, just talking you through the competition, the heat, sharing my thoughts. And as I mentioned, it's been about 2 years since I've been a part of a surf competition, so might be a teeny bit rusty, but we'll see how it goes. So I put my rash guard on and then had to wait there a few minutes. And the way this competition, as well as many other like local and small competitions is you have 5 minutes to paddle out to the lineup. So I was basically, since they have a lot of heats to do, the way they do the competition is when a heat's going, which is 15 minutes, at least at this one, the last 5 minutes of a heat are the 5 minutes that the next heat gets to paddle out. So these 5 minutes that I have to paddle out, the next heat is still surfing. So as I'm going out into the water, I do have to be aware of that, because the judges and the commentators can get a little irritated at you if you get in the way of the surfers that are out there competing at the moment. So as you're paddling out, you can either go like around and then paddle out to in front, or just go straight out and just kind of keep an eye out and be careful. So that's what I did. I just started paddling, and like I mentioned, I had 5 minutes to paddle out. Second. Taking a little sip of water. As I mentioned, I had 5 minutes to paddle out, and in my heat there were 4 people. So there's me and 3 other guys all paddling out at the same time. Now something that the way that I used to do competitions is I would go and like sit right next to where the other surfers and competitors are. But what I found is it would almost make me do worse in the competition, because I was like trying to fight them for the waves, and I wasn't that like, I would kind of get like unfocused because I'm like there, and sometimes they would like say some words, some this or that, or like talk with them a little bit. I don't know why I'm in the competition. So what I did at this competition, this heat, is before my heat I was just hanging out, sitting on the beach, just observing the ocean. And I noticed that there was some really good rights coming in a bit like to the right, so like a bit down the beach, not directly out in front. And so when I paddled out, I went straight over there. And thankfully, the 3 other surfers in my heat didn't actually go over there. They were surfing a different area of the beach. So I just kept going over there, catching those waves, instead of sitting like right next to them. Because when you're right next to them, then a wave comes, you're like battling them for a wave. And you know, sometimes you do have to do that in a competition, because maybe the best waves are just like continuously in the exact same spot. In that case, you would have to do that. But I tried to find my like own little spot where I could just like, if a wave came to that spot, I could just get it. You know, that's kind of a luxury if you're able to have that. That rarely happens when you're surfing just with anyone who wants to be out. But in a competition, sometimes you can have that available, because since there's only a few other guys, they might be in a different spot trying to catch a different wave. Or something to notice is like, if they're maybe goofy and I'm regular, they might be sitting in a different spot trying to catch the lefts because they prefer lefts, and I'm in a different spot because I prefer rights. Now you should be able to surf both ways, but you still will have one way that's a teeny bit favored. So yeah, there you can see a surfer kind of passing by. And you know, all this footage, this is parts that we normally don't film in videos, and nevertheless in a competition. So something I kind of noticed once I was halfway through the heat, so a bit later, but I didn't, like, I've kind of noticed this when surfing with the GoPro, but when you have a GoPro with a mouth mount in your mouth, it is slightly more difficult to breathe because you can't just get as much airflow through your mouth when you're breathing, especially when you're paddling, really exerting yourself. So I felt like I got tired pretty quickly because I wasn't breathing as much, but you know, I think it was worth it for this footage. So yes. And something that was kind of funny is I actually later on I talked to one of the judges, and he was actually telling me that this is like one of the first times they've seen somebody go out in a competition with a GoPro, because normally everyone's like, you know, you're out in a competition, you want to have the least amount of distractions, you don't want to have stuff with you, and then here I go with a GoPro and a mouth mount out into my heat. So the judge, he actually told me that like all the judges, the main thing they talked about during this contest was how using a GoPro could like affect your performance, and because I did have multiple heats, so I thought that was pretty funny. And that was kind of a thought that I had when I came up with this idea is I've never seen somebody go out and do a competition with a GoPro, so I mean, it would be interesting to give it a shot and try it, because I have done lots of competitions in the past but have never done it with a GoPro, especially in my mouth. Because one thing would be to have it on your board, it's just kind of there, but to have it in your mouth, it is extra weight on your head. It is it's there, so it can get in the way slightly. Like if you're doing a duck dive and you're really trying to get a deep duck dive, sometimes you can't get your like head all the way down towards your board because the GoPro's right there. So there's slight things that make it an annoyance, but it's not like just a deal breaker. If you keep hearing this water, that is me drinking water, because doing all this talking does dry out your throat a fair bit amount. So yeah, just paddling out, still just making my way out to my spot, and let's see, what do I want to talk about? We still have a few minutes of footage to go, so we will get a chance to talk about many things. But let's see. Okay, if you're wondering what I'm doing right here, I just made it out to the lineup, and something I always do now when I first paddle out is I rub my feet on top of my surfboard right where the wax is. That way I can kind of get the bottom of my feet a little bit grippy, because something that happens is when you're walking on the beach or first get in the water and walking out, if the sand or if you're walking on rocks, if they have any type of like slipperiness on them, something growing or whatever, then your feet can kind of feel slippery. First wave, boom. Alright, first wave, that was not the greatest feeling, to catch my first wave of the heat and to just fall. And it was kind of, I can't say that it was just the wave, because I did like fall, I could have landed that maneuver, but the wave was a little tricky, it kind of was really fast. But the point is when you fall in your first wave, the first thing you think is, oh no, this is horrible, like I only have 15 minutes to catch the two good waves, and I just fell on my first wave. And then also I'm thinking, and then there's like who knows how many people on the beach all watching, and then they just saw me fall on my first wave. But I'm thinking that quickly, but then trying to not worry about it too much. As soon as I think that really quickly, and then I just move on, I'm like, okay, but it doesn't matter, just get back out there, paddle back out really quickly and get another wave. So that's what I did. I just went back out. You don't want to just go on thinking, no, that first wave, why did I fall? You just kind of just forget about it, keep going, go get another wave, because you only have 15 minutes, and if you're out there just thinking about that first wave that you fell, then that's going to affect your surfing the rest of the heat. So I try to not worry about that, but yeah, what happened, it happened. Okay, shuffle along. Okay, so real quick, let me explain how surf competitions work. Basically, how the scoring works. So the best score that you can get on a wave is a 10.0, and the worst is a 0. But if you catch the wave, you get more than a 0. And the way that they score is they score every wave you catch, and then your 2 best waves create your score. So a perfect score would be to get 2 10s equaling a 20. Now that is very rare, and you would have to catch 2 waves and surf 2 waves incredibly well, but that is basically how the scoring works. So you could catch 30 waves in a heat, but if every wave is like mediocre, like you maybe aren't able to do anything, or you stand up and then fall, that's not going to equal a very good score. Whereas somebody else who maybe only caught 2 waves, but they were able to do a few maneuvers on it, they're going to get a total higher score. So trying to think about that, like I want to catch a wave and surf it well and then finish it. That's actually very important in a surf competition, is finishing the wave. So you could surf a wave and do, let's say, a snap, and then a cutback, and then a floater, and then at the very end, you go for something and you fall, compared to if you finish the wave and then the wave is all whitewater and you're still standing, like you did a good finish at the end of the wave. That's going to get a much higher score than if you were to fall. So whenever somebody wipes out on a wave, or they surf it well and they fall at the end, they're like, that wave is incomplete. You'll hear the commentator saying that all the time during a surf competition. Okay, next wave, kind of paddling, wasn't able to get into it. I kind of getting excited as I'm talking about this, and I start talking quicker, but I'll try to chill down a little bit, just relax it to you'll have time. So another wave, paddle, was able to get into it and couldn't, like, did like a kind of a foam climb floater, but it wasn't very good at all. I didn't get that high or for very long. So I was kind of like, when I get a wave like that, that's just like, it's not a wave that I want to keep. I'm just going to get back out there, try to catch another one. And at this point, it had been hard to say, maybe 4 or 5 minutes into the heat, and I'm thinking at this point, well, I still need to get 2 decent waves, because I fell on a wave and I just got a wave that wasn't very, like, a wave that I would want to keep. So I'm just like, get back out there, get another wave. And since these surf heats are 15 minutes, there's actually a flag on the beach, or it's like a piece of wood painted. On one side it's green, and then on the other side it's yellow. And the first 10 minutes of the heat, it's on green, and then when there's 5 minutes left, it turns to yellow. So even though you're out in the ocean and pretty good distance away from the beach, you can kind of see this flag. So I try to always keep my eye on that, because I wasn't surfing with a watch. So I just try to keep my eye on that, and that way I know, like, roughly how much time is left. When it turns yellow, I'm like, okay, there's not that much time left. I really gotta like hustle to get some waves. And when it's green, I'm like, still want to hustle, but I have time, and I'm not like panicking that I need to get a wave. And also, was this one of the ones that I caught? Yep, got into this wave, started pumping, and did a little like snap, and was able to land it. So I would at the time, I considered that like, okay, that was I felt good about that maneuver, because I did the turn and I landed it. So I landed it, and then I jumped off the board. I didn't go for it and then fall. So I was like, okay, that's good. And at this point, I was like, all right, I just did a good turn. Still need to get back out there and get some more waves. But you know, when you land a maneuver, especially in a competition, it kind of just boosts your confidence a bit up. So you're like, okay, I just landed a good maneuver. I'm feeling good about how I'm surfing. Now I got to go get another wave and do some more tricks. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about something. Yeah, right here you actually see I passed one of the other surfers from the heat. So as I mentioned, I kind of tried to find my own little spot, but then they started to figure it out and started to move move towards my area because I kept like catching waves. Even though I wasn't doing like a ton of maneuvers, I just in this heat I caught like the most waves. At least that's what I heard. That I seem to have caught the most waves compared to the other surfers. So, but I heard that later, so I guess that's why they started to move towards me, because if you're out surfing, especially in a competition, you're not catching any waves, and you see the other dude right down the beach just catching wave after wave, you're like, you know what, I'm going to move down there, and I'm going to try to get some of those waves. Because in a competition, you can paddle, maneuver, move to wherever you want. You know, when you're out just surfing, there's kind of like the rules that are just kind of like common sense. Like if somebody's sitting there, you don't go and sit just like, maybe if you know them, but if it's just a random person, like to go sit right next to them and then as soon as a wave comes catch it, that's kind of not cool if you're just out surfing. But in a competition, stuff is totally allowed. You can go sit right next to someone, you can paddle battle, you can paddle around them, do whatever you want. Now it still maybe is considered like, I don't know, that cool, but it's a competition, so all that stuff is like pretty much fine to do. It can be a lot more competitive, aggressive in a competition. You turn on the switch of the competition mindset. So yeah, paddling down the beach, moving back down. And yeah, the thing with the competition is you do have to pace yourself to some degree, because you want to when you're paddling, I'm like, whenever I'm paddling in the heat, I'm paddling faster than I normally do when I'm out surfing, just for fun. But I'm not paddling is like 110% to where I'm gonna like totally burn myself out and then like not be able to paddle and surf halfway through the heat. So you want to really be pushing yourself, but not like to the ridiculous point to where after like 5 minutes you're just totally exhausted and you're just like, they're just like, I can't do it anymore, I can't catch any waves. So you know, there's like that fine line of pushing yourself a bit more than normal, but not like too much. That's what I was trying to do. And whenever in a surf heat, I'm pretty much always moving around, so very rarely do I just stay in the same spot. But this is one of those moments where I'd caught a few waves and then I paddled back out. I was sitting where I wanted to be, and then I actually got to just sit here for 20-30 seconds and just kind of like enjoy that I'm like out here in the surf competition. It's been a little while, I'm recording a video. No matter how I do, that's not the main point. And that actually brings me to another point, is a big reason, a big thing I was trying to do doing this surf competition is to not be insanely focused on the result. So during the competition, I tried to work on, you know, talking a bit more and socializing with the other competitors and people at the competition, and not just being totally focused on how I do in the competition. So no, if I lost right off the bat and didn't make it to another heat, I would still be totally cool. Like, of course, I'm gonna do as good as I can and hopefully do the best possible. But that's not like the only point of the competition. The other point is to just like enjoy myself, hang out with the other people that are there competing and stuff, and then just kind of like a bonus is that I get to be in the competition and then do my best. So right here, paddling, was able to catch another wave. You noticed pretty much all the waves were rights that I caught today, and that was, I noticed, like I said, when I was sitting on the beach, I noticed there was this peak just right out of this certain spot where these rights just kept coming in over and over. And I noticed in a lot of other heats, the competitors didn't really go right there. They were kind of just going straight out in front of where the judges were. But since I just kept going to that spot slightly to the right down the beach and just getting that right, it ended up working out pretty good, because sometimes you'll sit on the beach, think there's this perfect wave in this spot, go there, and it is not the same once you're sitting out there. But surprisingly it was, so I was pretty pumped about that. Yeah, paddling back out, lots of paddling in heats. And that brings me to another thing, is in a surf competition, you do have to stay within a certain area. So on the beach, there's a few tents set up where like the judges and all like pretty much the competitors and everyone, just the spectators, are hanging out. And a lot of the times when people surf in a competition, they'll just go straight out in front, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you can go a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, but if you go too far, then your waves actually don't count. So while you're out surfing, you constantly, at least like I'm constantly looking to the beach, checking where this tent is, where the beach is, making sure the current didn't just like suck me down the beach, because I've actually had it where I catch waves that don't count because I got sucked so far down the beach, and that's a real bummer because of course that'll be like your best wave of the heat. Yeah, I caught this little left, and then it just fizzled out, so I kind of just like fell and jumped off, but I didn't catch the wave too far in, so I was able to get back out there fairly quickly. Yeah, at this point, I think the flag had like just turned yellow recently, and also as I was paddling back out, I had this surfer surf right past me, and something I do my best to not do in a competition is watch the other surfers surfing. You might think, why would you not want to do that? Like when you're out surfing, you want to see the other surfers surfing. But if I'm out there competing and I start watching the other guys catching waves, well, first of all, if they do like a really good maneuver, that's gonna get in my head. I'm gonna be like, oh man, they just did this great trick. Like, oh gosh, now I gotta do something good, and then I start like thinking about it and like getting in my own head. Whereas if I just like I might see someone catch a wave, but I'll look away and then just keep looking out. Also, if you're sitting out there watching this other surfer, the guy you're competing against, surf down the beach, doing maneuver after maneuver, a wave might come that you could have gotten, but since you were too busy paying attention to that guy surfing, you weren't able to get to this wave in time, and then you end up not catching that. So not only can it get in your head, but can also affect you getting certain waves. So yeah, I definitely do not watch the other competitors while I'm out there surfing. And so actually, in this competition, the GoPro does run out of battery before the heat ends. But when when the heat does end, it's basically, I didn't catch any, when the GoPro ran out of battery, it was nearly the end of the heat, and I didn't end up catching any more waves, but that's still for a few minutes. So right here, I know that it's been a good amount of time, and I only have time to maybe catch one or two more waves. So I'm paddling around, scrambling, trying to just find a little peak, a little something to catch. And you know, there's a lot of stuff in competitions that in the mindset and stuff that I didn't get to talk about, but maybe in the other one I'll get to talk about. So yeah, I'll start wrapping up the video because it is gonna just end really quickly. But this heat was a junior, so it was 18 and under, and it was the quarterfinals. So since there wasn't that many people in the competition, I just started in the quarterfinals, and there was 4 people in my heat. And if I got first or second out of the 4 people in my heat, then I passed to the semifinals, and then third and fourth place get knocked out. So in this heat, I did actually get second, so I actually passed to the semifinals. But it's big part thanks to one of these waves that I'm about to catch. I'm not sure if it's this one or the next one. It might be this one. But yeah, caught it, popped up, and I could see that it was a good wave, so I did a little like check turn right here, nothing too crazy. Did a little pump, almost lost my balance and fell, and then right here at the end, boom, was able to hit the whitewater. And later on, I heard that the commentator was like, "Whoa, layback from a Tuamoy." So that wave, actually, later on, I went and looked at the scores of my waves, and that wave got me a 6 out of 10. And I was kind of surprised by that. But apparently, because when you're surfing, you don't see how much spray your maneuvers throw. But from the beach, when I did that, it looked like a layback. It was like a semi-layback, so it wasn't like a full crazy Clay Marzo layback, but like more than not a layback. And it did, because I hit the whitewater, that all that momentum that was coming at me and I hit it at the same time, it threw a good amount of spray of water into the air. So then the judges actually gave that wave a fairly good score, and I am pretty sure if I didn't catch that wave, I wouldn't have passed into the semifinals. So it's all thanks to that wave. Actually, I got a picture. My uncle got a picture of the maneuver, so maybe that'll be up on Instagram. Tuamoy, A-T-U-A-M-O-E. Little plug right there. Very subtle. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this commentating through this junior heat. And since I ended up getting second place in this heat, so I passed to the semifinals. Be sure to stay tuned for the next video, which will be the semifinals, and then we'll see. If I were to pass that heat, then I would make it to the finals, but one thing at a time, semifinals first. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Pura vida and aloha. Actually, the GoPro battery ended up lasting a little bit longer than I thought, but it lasted just a little bit longer. This is me just paddling out, and after that wave, I was like, that was a good maneuver, because when you do a good finish like that, you can feel that it felt like a good trick, and I didn't fall, so I was like, okay, that was good. Maybe I'll be able to get back out and get one more wave, because at this point, it's nearly been 15 minutes. So I ended up paddling back out, and then the beep went off, basically a little bit after the GoPro ran out of battery. And then I went in pretty happy, and then just went and talked and socialized with the other people, everyone else there. And since I know I get to surf tomorrow, I was pretty happy. Get to surf tomorrow in the competition. Alright, see you in the next one.